Assalamualaikum students. Today's video is about question 2 part B. It is from November 2023 exam series and it's variant 3 of paper 2, 9708 A-level economics. So as you are aware that out of this 12 marks question, there are 8 marks for knowledge understanding, that is assessment objective 1, analysis, that is assessment objective 2. So there are 8 marks for knowledge and analysis, and there are 4 marks for evaluation. Let me read out the question for you. Assess whether knowledge and understanding of price elasticity of demand or cross elasticity of demand is likely to be more useful to a producer of a smartphone. So we'll be doing the analysis of the usefulness of price elasticity of demand, 4 marks. Analysis of cross elasticity demand and its usefulness for the producer of a smartphone, 4 marks. Which one is more useful, 3 marks, and a conclusion, 1 mark. So that is how we'll get the marks. So this word more is evaluative word. So the comparison between the two tools. Please remember that advantages and disadvantages, which you often call are the limitations, they are part of the analysis. So to get top marks, we must not only discuss the usefulness of these two concepts, that is PED and XED, we should also discuss the limitations. Limitations of these two concepts will not be part of evaluation. They'll be part of analysis. So let's begin our discussion. And first we discuss the usefulness of PED. You may give a definition or a formula of PED, though knowledge marks are very few and the formula may not be required, and a candidate may be able to get top marks even without giving the formula for PED. But it won't be a bad thing to start with the definition or formula of PED. So I give the definition. It measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in the price of the product. Please do not give headings or write in bullet points when you write an essay. However, for your convenience, I am giving headings. So PED measures. Instead of writing it, I've written the word PED. So you can give the formula as well, percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. Now, what does how does the knowledge of PED help producer of a smartphone? Now that's the question. So PED helps set prices in a way that firm succeeds in raising revenues. I may avoid using word maximize revenue because maximization of revenue is a particular mathematical condition that may not be fulfilled always, and firms may not be actually going to a point where revenues are maximized. So I'll use a softer word, and that is raising revenues. So from the benefit of knowing PED of your product is this, that you can set the price in a manner that your revenues rise. Now this line should be written by everyone, and explanation we can have 3-4 different options. So this is a very important line whenever there is a question about PED and revenue, and that is low price should be charged if PED is high, and a high price should be charged, may be charged if PED is less than 1. Now this is the basic idea. Everyone should be aware of this, and I've written in a very brief manner. It may not be enough to get top analysis marks, but at least this idea should be clear to everyone. Now we need to elaborate this. Why would a low price for a price elastic demand product be more suitable, and why would a firm be considering a high price for a product whose PED is low? So let's develop this idea. Uh, there are three ways, at least three ways, you can actually explain the link between prices and revenues for PED. I'll use the words and a numerical example and a graph. You can use either of the three approaches. So let's take a product whose PED is low. So if PED is low, the demand curve would be quite steep, like this. And we have just mentioned that if PED is low, high price should be charged. So if P1 price is P1 and Q is Q1, that's the initial quantity. Now this rectangle, that is P1 and Q1, this is the total revenue of the business at this point. If the firm raises the price to P2, the quantity falls from Q1 to Q2, and the firm loses some revenue, and that is red shaded area, as there are fewer units sold. However, firm is charging higher price from existing customers, from remaining customers, and that green shaded area is the gain in revenue. Since the gain in revenue is more compared to loss in revenue, the total revenues are likely to go up. So let me write this in words as well. Charging a high price for a good with low PED raises total revenue, as the gain in revenue due to higher price, and that is green shaded area, is more than the revenues lost due to lower quantity sold, and that is red shaded area. So charging a high price for a good with low PED raises total revenue, as the revenue gain in revenues due to higher price is more than the revenue loss due to lower quantity sold. And now we move to discuss a product with a high PED. High PED, the demand curve would be flatter, like the one we are drawing now, a flatter demand curve. Now for a crude with PED high, initial price is P1, initial quantity is Q1, and it is recommended that the price is decreased. Price goes down and quantity goes up from Q1 to Q2. Because of lower price, consumers lose red shaded area. There is a loss in revenue because they are charging low price now. However, this low price is attracting more customers, and when more customers are coming and going to enter the market, the sales would go up. And this additional sales will give us additional revenue. Again, the increase in revenue, green shaded area, is bigger than the loss in revenue, that is red shaded area, and total revenues would go up. So we can write in words, charging a low price for a good with price elastic demand raises total revenue as the revenue lost by lower price, and there is red area, is compensated by gain in revenue due to more sales, and there is green shaded area. That is how we have actually linked the price with total revenues for products with different PEDs. We can give a numeric example as well, but probably we do not have time for that. Maybe in some other question, I will use the numerical approach instead of using the graph approach, so that you can have an idea of both approaches. PED can also help us decide. PED can also determine the level of production for goods or for phones. Actually, we can use the word phones here because the product question is about the smartphones. For smartphones with low PED, a high price and a lower quantity should be chosen. So we can use the word that for smartphones which have low PED, the mobile phone manufacturer, the smartphone manufacturer should restrict the output, and charge a high price. However, phones with high PED should be mass produced, should be produced in bulk, so that you can take advantage of the lower price. Should be produced in bulk. So that's how the usefulness of PED discussed. However, our analysis cannot be complete unless we talk about at least one limitation of PED. So PED is an estimate, and based on previous data. Therefore, its value is not completely reliable for decision making. So we have now scored full marks for one side of the analysis, as we have not only discussed the usefulness of PED, we have also given a limitation of it. Now we move forward, and now we discuss the usefulness of cross elasticity of demand. Now, as I have given definition of PED while discussing the usefulness, over here I can give the formula for cross elastic demand. Percentage change in quantity demanded of good A divided by percentage change in price of good B. Do remember to quote two different goods when you talk about cross elasticity demand. And I can give the definition of this as well. It measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a good to a change in the price of another good. So what does the knowledge of cross elastic demand help? Which help this knowledge provides to a producer of a smartphones. So cross elastic demand helps producers know one, the type of relationship, with other products, that is, either your products are substitutes of other products, or your products are complements, or they are unrelated. So knowledge of cross-Rasaman tells us that whether our product is a substitute of a product made by another firm, or it is a complement, or is unrelated. If cross-Rasaman is zero, our product is not related to that made by another firm. If cross-Rasaman is with respect to a product made by a competitor, by another firm, is positive, then our products are substitutes. And if it's negative, it's complement. So we can look at the sign of cross-Rasaman and we can determine the type of relationship of our product with other. The sign of cross-Rasaman helps determine that. Positive is for substitutes, negative is for complements, and zero is for unrelated goods. So this is one utility or one benefit of knowing cross-Rasaman, that it tells us the type of relationship. The second benefit, the second usefulness of cross-Rasaman, that it helps producer know the closeness of the relationship. That whether the substitute is a close one or a weak one. Or whether a complementary good is essential, whether a complementary good is essential, is highly essential, or not so important. So it does not only tell us about the nature of relationship, whether our goods are a substitute or a complement, it also tells us about the importance, about the closeness of the relationship. So what does tell? Which part of cross-Rasaman tells us this? Now it is a number, it is a value of cross-Rasaman. It is the coefficient, value, digit of cross-Rasaman. Shows determines or indicates, indicate would be a better word, indicates the closeness of the relationship. Higher the cross-Rasaman, more closely related the two goods are, and more significant the impact on the sale of one if price of the other changes. Remember, I give 4 numeric examples just for your understanding. Product A and B, product A and B, product C and D, and products E and F, and products G and H I might writing I so that so, and I give numbers. It is plus 1.5, it is plus 0.8, it is minus 0.7, it is minus 1.2. Now there are four products or four pair of products A and B. So I'm not going to write this in detail because we don't have time much, but let me explain. The plus means substitutes. So products A and B are substitutes and products C and D are also substitutes. So the first two pairs are substitutes. These two are substitutes. Because the sign is positive. And these two are complements as the sign is negative. But now let's further differentiate between them. Plus 1.5 A and B is more than 1. So it is close substitutes. Whereas plus 0.8, it is a substitute, but it is a weak one. P cross as 1 is less than 1. It's weak substitute. Minus 1.2, complement, more than 1. It is an essential complement. This complement is very important for the business. 0.7, minus, again a complement, but a weak one. It's not that important. A weak complement. A complement that is not so important. So not only cross Osman is telling us or giving the sign, and with the help of sign we can determine the nature of the relationship. With the number we can also determine the intensity and the seriousness of that relationship, that how close a substitute is and how important a complementary good is. So by knowing cross Osman, a business is well prepared to counter strategies of its competitors, of other firms. Sorry, competitor is not essential that that there are only substitutes. There could be other firms as well which are making complementary goods. So I won't use the word competitors. By knowing cross demand, a business is well prepared to counter strategies of other firms. If a substitute raises price, the firm can consider raising its price or output or both, because when price of a substitute goes up, demand for my product would go up. Cross demand is positive, and it means my demand for my product would go up. So I can take advantage of that demand, extra demand, either by raising the price or by raising output or by raising both. So this is how cross demand is useful. And if a complementary goods become expensive, for example, the data phone company start charging higher prices for internet charges, for internet services. So in that case, complementary good of a smartphone has become expensive. If a complementary good becomes expensive, the smartphone manufacturer may consider lowering price. So this is the usefulness. However, as I said earlier, the analysis will not be complete unless we talk about at least one limitation. So let's talk about a limitation of cross demand. The number of competitors and tastes and preferences of consumers and of course the strategies of competitors as well, the number and strategies of competitors and tastes and preferences of consumers are always changing. Therefore, a static PED across Osman, may not be always relevant. It may be relevant today, but after a few days, when competitors have changed their strategies, as they launch a new product and they probably added new features or consumer tastes have changed, the same cross Osman may not be relevant. So that's another limitation we have given. And now we move to the last stage of our question, and that is evaluation. The comparison between PED and cross Osman. So it is easier to change price of the product. So PED is more useful. For a firm, it's easy that they can change the price of their product, they can raise it or they can lower it, depending on the PED. So PED knowledge is more useful. Since strategies and actions of other firms are beyond the control of an individual firm, the knowledge of cross Osman is less useful. Even though I know that my cross Osman is minus 0.8, it won't be plus 0.8. I know it's substitute, but what can I do? Because I can do things within the domain of my own firm, but I cannot really go on and alter the strategies or influence the strategies and actions of my competitors. That's why knowing cross Osman is of less significance than knowing PED. Income Osman is more useful, particularly for a market of smartphones whose demand is influenced by changes in income. Smartphones, particularly the smartphones which are for the high-end market, they are normal goods. And when income goes up, the demand goes up more than proportionately. Not only they are normal, they are income elastic goods. So income elastic demand could be very useful as well. So in the conclusion, we can say PED and XED are useful, but they must be, these estimates must be combined with other information for decision making. And other information, particularly income elasticity demand. Income elastic demand, I often write MED or YED, so both abbreviations are acceptable. So it's a dynamic market. PED and XED are static numbers. They are not dynamic numbers, but things are changing rapidly. So when you make a decision, look at PED and XED, they are useful numbers, but also understand that the market is not static and it is dynamic. And this is the last line. Also understand, the firm should also understand that real market is dynamic and not static like PED and XED. Therefore, a complete reliance on PED and XED may give misleading may give results, undesired results. May give undesired results. So there concludes my discussion. I hope you like this video. Please give us your feedback and do subscribe our channel. Thank you very much.